Good afternoon to Dr. Kairu and my fellow classmates. My name is Yapichin and my metric number is 204566 and I am currently a second year student of Environmental Science and Technology. The topic of presentation today would be the danger of radioactive. The following are the content of my presentation today. Introduction of radioactive, sources of radioactive, effect of radioactive on human health, and lastly, Chernobyl disasters 1986. Let us begin now. I'm sure all of you have been heard about the recent news of Japan approving a plan to release more than 1 million tons of radioactive contaminated water from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear plant into the sea. But do you know what is radioactive and what is the danger of radioactive? Radioactivity is the spontaneous emission of radiation in the form of particles or high-energy proton resulting from a nuclear reaction. Radiation comes from part of the atom called the nucleus. The nucleus is made of protons and neutrons, and nucleus is the center of the atom. Usually, nucleus would be stable, but if it gives off radiation, it is an unstable nucleus. Unstable nucleus has too many protons or too many neutrons. It will gives off pieces of itself to form a stable nucleus. If the atom gives off radiation, we call it radioactive, and it can either give off energy in the form of energy or in the form of particle. Hence, a substance that contains unstable atomic nuclei is considered to be radioactive. Sources of radioactive can be divided into natural and man-made. Natural radioactive can be found anywhere in the environment, for example, soil, water, and vegetation. Natural background radiation can be found in three main sources: cosmic radiation, for example, sun and stars; terrestrial radiation, soil and rock; and lastly, internal radiation, which is humans themselves. Man-made radioactive include S3, smoke detector, nuclear power plant, uranium mining, building materials, and lastly, tobacco. Next, I'll present about the effect of radioactive on human health. There are four main routes of radioactive exposure, include inhalation, ingestions, exhaustion, and injection. Actually, we are exposed to radiation every day, and low level of radiation is not dangerous. The health effect of ionizing radiation can vary with the type and energy of the radiation, duration of exposure, and bodily tissue that is radiated. The effect is referred to as effective radiation dose and measured in unit called Soviet SW. On average, the amount of radiation exposure due to our natural sources is about 2.4 millisievert per year. Exposure to high levels of radiation can cause acute health effects such as skin burn, loss of appetite, fatigue, fever, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and coma. It might also cause long-term effects, for example, cancer, cardiovascular disease, leukemia, and infertility. Next, I will share about a case of radioactive incident. Chernobyl disasters 1986. It is the worst disaster in the history of nuclear power generation. It happened at the North Fork in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant near the city of Pripyat in the north of Ukrainian Soviet socialists deprived in the Soviet Union. It happened on the date of April 26, 1986. It is caused by the reactor design faults and serious breach of protocol during simulated power outage safety tests. It causes us it causes these following serious consequences. First, two workers died in the initial explosion. Dozens of firefighters called in to extinguish in the flame were hospitalized with radiation sickness. Some of these people later died within 3 months. More than 6,000 of children and adolescents developed thyroid cancer as a direct result of the incident. These airborne radioactive particles were spread, were spread by the wind over Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine, and soon reaches as far west as France and Italy. Millions of hectares of forest and farmland were contaminated, brought a, brought a serious impact on both agricultural and natural ecosystems in Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine. Lastly, the zone around the reactor will not be habitable for another 20,000 years. In conclusion, radioactive brings a lot of benefits to the field of medicine, industry, science, and education. However, a coin has two sides. It also brings harm to living things and non-living things. Depend on the level of effective radiation dose a victim receives. He or she may experience acute health effect or long-term health effect. Therefore, always follow the safety precaution when handling radioactive material. That's all for my presentation today. Thank you for lending a time. Thank you.